Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Capable Minds podcast. Today we have Max Glover, ex-Marine turned fitness fanatic. He talks about the physical skill and the mental resilience needed to be a Marine and how he's adapted those skills into day-to-day civilian life. As always, please like, share and subscribe to our channel as it helps us grow. And before we get started, ask yourselves one question: what makes you capable?
Capable Minds podcast.
Max, thank you very much for coming in and speaking with us on the Capable Minds podcast. If you can just start by giving us an intro, what your name is, brief description about what you do, that would be great.
Okay, well James, thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
My name's Max Glover, I'm from Cardiff and I was born there but I've moved away a lot, lived in London for a bit as well, travelled around because I joined the military when I was pretty much straight out of school.
Yeah.
Did a little bit with that and then since then I've left, dotted around with various different jobs, quite a lot of different jobs, security, things like that. Then I went into fitness as a trainer and kind of found my kind of identity doing challenges as a challenge enthusiast or fitness enthusiast.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why we're here today to talk about some of that stuff.
Exactly. So you've basically covered a lot of different things over your life. You actually reminded me of the advert there when you said that. Max from Cardiff. You know the ones where it's like born in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Made,
The Navy did have it. Yeah.
Made in the Marines.
That's true though. It's actually true. Like,
You reminded me of that advert, so that's class. All right, let's cast our minds back to your younger years. Was fitness something that you've always been interested in? And can you tell me like what sort of age it was through school where you started taking an interest in sort of sport or physical activity?
Okay,
if you can remember.
Yeah, I can actually. It's quite distinctive for me actually because I'm a bit weird. I'm a bit different to other people. Like, we went to school. Obviously, we did things like PE, sports, rugby, football, stuff like that. And I was terrible at sports. Hated it. Really did not like it. So I'd usually find any excuse to bunk off or do something. And I realised, particularly when playing football, that if I messed around for a punishment, the teacher would make me run around the pitch. So he'd be like, "Oh, Max, you keep messing around like that, you're going to do laps of the pitch." So I actually realised I preferred doing that.
That was the worst for me.
Playing football.
So I hated that.
So I used to purposely mess around to go run around the pitch because I enjoyed that. So I found I enjoyed running. It was a bit different back in those days, whereas like kids these days are going to the gym and it's great. We didn't really have that. Growing up, there wasn't really anything there. There was sports halls, circuit training and stuff like that. So I occasionally went and did that with my mum because she would do that to keep fit, but I wouldn't go to the gym. So I did a lot of walking because I used to walk home from school and back. Bit of circuit training and also punishment in PE. That's what got me into fitness really. Occasionally from time to time people would for a laugh film you're pranking your mates and stuff like that. They'd fill my bag up with rocks or bricks and stuff like that. So I'd be like, it was a laugh, it'd be a challenge for me to walk home with it and I'd pretend I didn't notice. So
that's where it all started.
That's where it kind of started for me, So I even sometimes would just put all my books in my bag just so I'd have a heavy rucksack so I wouldn't walk to school and back. I'd have to do a little bit of a workout while I was doing it. So
that's cool.
I kind of was fit but not in a training fit, if that makes sense. I was just fit because of what I did. Yeah,
of course. So back then, was there any like role models that you would have in sort of sport or maybe bodybuilding or bodybuilding, or weightlifting?
Not really. The only person I would say would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is probably the only person, and there's probably a lot of us people who were into training.
Absolutely.
He's got all the movies, Terminator, Commando. Used to love watching those as a kid. So him, probably maybe Stallone in Rocky. And your gladiators and stuff like that on TV. Used to look up to that and enjoy that kind of physicality and the physiques.
Those kind of films are literally like kind of what you do, like outside, like covering mad terrains and stuff, like big guy. That is literally like kind of what you do.
That's it.
Outside, well, nowadays anyway. Back then, obviously you probably saw them and thought, fucking hell, they're massive. So
I think that they would be inspirational, but there was nobody close to home or anything that really kind of motivated me or anything like that.
Fair. So when you were getting to the end of school, when did you start realising that you wanted to get out of education? And when was the spark for getting into military or the Marines? When was that sort of lit?
Well, I think it was always there that I wanted to. When I was younger, I used to watch a lot of military films, remember seeing an article in the newspaper when I was very young. I can't remember how old I was, but I just remember seeing it in the local kind of newspaper. Somebody had completed it, and it did a big kind of thing on him and how it was one of the hardest things in NATO or in the world, hardest training in the world or something like that. And I remember looking at that and thinking, oh, I reckon I could do that. I'd give that a go. Because back then it was very much, you know, the 99.99% need not apply sort of adverts were going on. Is basically saying, if you're rubbish, we don't want you. You're not good enough. It's too hard for you. If you think it's hard, don't bother applying. So it was a challenge, and that was kind of what made me want to go. The adverts are a little bit different now. They sort of go down that road. But that was for me was quite motivating. So that was there kind of in the dormant in the back of my mind, and then I forgot about kind of school and just got a bit bored. Joined a punk band, started getting drinking quite heavily and things like that, and went the complete opposite direction to any kind of fitness. And then just one day, just suddenly like that, bang. I just decided, look, I'm going to join the Marines. It was the Navy I thought of at first, and then I kind of went, oh, hang on a second.
Do you want to be in water?
No, Marines are in part of the water, Marines are part of the Navy.
Well,
but I knew what would happen. I pictured myself and thought, hang on a second, I'm going to be on a ship watching the Marines going off on missions, and I'm going to be like, oh, I want to be doing that. So why don't I just go and join the Marines instead and just scrap the whole Navy thing?
So the Navy just stay on the ships, and then the Marines would go off the ships and complete like operations.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So the Marines are the soldiers of the Navy.
Oh, that's sick.
That's how it works for them.
That's cool. And they say that like the Marines is like the hardest to get into, isn't it? Like one of the toughest selection processes in the military of the UK.
Out of conventional forces, that's what they say. Yeah.
That's mad. What age was that? What age did you apply for that?
I think I was 17 when I applied, because I remember I needed my mum's permission.
Really?
Initially, because when you're under 18, you need parents' permission to apply. But I was 18 by the time I actually went down there and started training and the selection.
Were there many people your age there?
Yeah, it was a mixture of ages. Anyway, 16 was the youngest that we had down there. And
that's crazy.
You say they're young, but they were absolute beasts. There was one in particular, he was I think it was at the time, he was the youngest person to complete the training. But you count him off because he's 16, but he was so strong the whole way through. And he's like, I catch up with him now, he is a strong guy.
Oh, you still speak to him now?
Very rarely. Like I see him on social media and Facebook, and I like to check on what people are up to and things like that, and just see how they're getting on. But he's a bit of a beast.
That's mad.
I think the oldest was late 20s.
Really?
Yeah, late 20s.
Selection process.
Yeah, but they struggled at that age. They couldn't those guys were struggling to keep up with the early 20s. So it was usually 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 were the sort of main kind of age
there.
Peak age, yeah.
So before the Marines then, did you have any idea in your mind what you wanted to be before the Marines, before you applied for the Marines? Like, did you have, some people want to be a doctor or a solicitor or a footballer or anything like that? Did you have a goal before the Marines?
Not really. I remember having all the meetings in school where they talk about careers and things like that, and I just used to sit down with them, and it was kind of like, what do you want to do? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you advise me, and they were like, no, unless you want to go. All they were doing was university. They were just pushing university, but there didn't seem to be anything for people who didn't want to go to university. I was like, well, I don't want to go to university. Yeah. Oh, well, you need to. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. What's for me? So I didn't really have much guidance. So I think I went off and I did some training courses after I left school, because I dropped out of my A levels just because I just wasn't interested. Yeah. And I went on a performing engineering operations using computer-aided design course, which I was really good at. Yeah. I just had this kind of natural talent, and I was really good at it. And then they started saying, do you want to go on an apprenticeship to be an architect and all that sort of stuff. So I could be an architect if I said yes. But it was around by that time when I was getting a bit bored of that, and I was like, I need something physical. I need to do something. I need to go somewhere, do something I can be proud of. Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't have been proud to be an architect, but I think when you're 18 years old, jumping out of helicopters and things like that is what I wanted to do.
More appealing, isn't it?
It is more appealing,
more appealing.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Envio Apparel, an activewear and lifestyle brand, and you can get 15% off your whole order with code CapableMinds15. Check out envioapparel.com or on socials, EnvioOfficial. Let's get back to the podcast. Like, you're kind of like me in terms of I could never see myself doing like a sort of like a sedentary job. I have to do something practical. Yeah. Something where I can like move my body, exercise, be active like most of the time. So was that like what was appealing to you as well? Did it? Because sometimes it doesn't really feel like work. It feels like I'm doing a hobby. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm not sat there like engrossed in my laptop or doing like work emails constantly. It's like I'm out. I'm physical. Is that what sort of appealed to you as well?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Marines. It didn't feel like I was working. It just felt like that's what it was. It was your life. It was your life. Yeah, it was your life though. It was everything. But yeah, I don't do well with sitting down in an office or anything like that. It's just after an hour sitting down, I'm like, I'm ready to go. My legs are hurting. I just want to do something. Yeah, like, but I find it bizarre, like, because I can lift a load of weights or carry heavy things and stuff like that for God knows how long. No aches or pains. I sit down for an hour. My neck's hurting. My back's hurting.
Yeah,
I've just got to move. It's
hips
weird.
are gone.
Yeah, so I've got to move. I'm a mover.
Yeah, I'm literally exactly the same. You know, with the selection process,
Mm-hmm.
how long did that last? Because there's like I said earlier, there's a perception that it's like extremely hard. And obviously you get programs like on TV where you have like the SAS, Who Dares Wins and all that sort of thing. I know that's a different one, isn't it? But obviously the selection process across all of them is going to be really, really hard. So can you tell us a little bit more about how long that lasted? And was there a time where you thought, oh, I can't do this, or?
Yeah, I mean, so you when you apply, well, back then you'd apply.
Yeah.
You'd have your interview. You'd have a fitness test, which was just basically a mile and a half run. 3 mile run. You'd run a mile and a half, and then do a mile and a half as fast as you can within a certain time. So that's the one everyone always thinks is the fitness test. But that's kind of a pre-joining test. That's
It's a warm-up.
It is, yeah. Because what they were having before that was people just turning up out of the blue, hadn't done any fitness training, and they were passing out because they've done no training at all. They're going along to what the next phase was, which was the potential Royal Marines course, which was a three-day selection test, and that was the one people were puking up in and people were passing out on and stuff like that. So they put that test in to try and weed out people who weren't basic fitness and basic health and fitness, who weren't going to die doing like sprints, repeated sprints and stuff like that. So then after you were successful in that, you had your medical, you go along for this PRMC, which you mentioned Who Dares Wins. Sam Middleton was on that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he was actually on my PRMC as a
Really?
Yeah, as a candidate.
That's mad.
So he was on there. He was on there with me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's bonkers to see how he's come along. But he was always kind of quite like special.
Yeah.
Like he was leagues ahead of everyone else. He was ex-para, I think, beforehand, so he had a bit of an advantage. But I remember thinking, wonder what he's going to be doing. And then one day, like, I was like, oh, that was that guy. That was that guy who was on that course with me. Like, when he was famous and all that. I recognised him then. But yeah, so that 3-day course, it was just to weed people out, and it was to see how determined individuals were, how fit individuals were.
Was it literally like beasting constantly then?
Yeah, I mean, it is structured, but like you'd go there, you'd get just shouted at and all that, and given all your stuff, and then boots and your things, and you'd have to kind of mop the floor, and everything had to be tidy. And you had the structured program. I'm trying to remember what we had to do now. You had your fitness tests, so you'd have like your press-up test, your pull-up test, sit-up test, all that sort of stuff, and your bleep test. You'd have to do that. And you'd obviously have to reach a certain standard in each one. But they were the easy tests. I mean, they were just your basic kind of benchmarks. Then you go to the assault courses, and you'd have the assault course. But before that, you'd have the warm-up, and the warm-up was what would weed people out, because it was just basically 45 minutes to an hour. That's what it felt like anyway, of just being beasted, sprints up and down here. So people were falling out of the warm-up rather than the actual assault course, which was the test.
But if they're falling out of the warm-up, that's exactly why they can't be a Marine then, can they?
Exactly, yeah. So they would hammer you in the warm-up. So when you hear about it, you got to do the assault course. You do the assault course, that's not too bad. But before you go into the assault course, and loads of people dropped out before that. So it's like, that's the thing with the Marines is you've got to do your tests, but you've got to be fatigued when you do them, or you've got to be ready to sort of do your job afterwards.
Yeah.
So like all the fitness is to do with, you want to get to a certain distance to do your mission, but then when you get your mission, you can't be fucked and not be able to do it. You've got to go and do your mission, and that's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly.
And then extract yourself out of there. So that's why they do that way.
Part of the challenges was because obviously what we see on TV is obviously different to what actually happens, I'm guessing. But is there a part where you do have to, like, they would say, you're fighting them, go?
Yeah,
sort of thing,
yeah.
Boxing or?
Yeah, we had wrestling, grappling, so they'd maybe put a ring on the floor, and they'd say, right, you against you, and they'd just pick, or they might even pick a number. They might just give you people random numbers, so you don't know who you're fighting against, and then you put in a ring and you just have a wrestling match, or part of this warm-up as well was that you would sit on the floor, like, so back to back.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'd have to wrestle, spin on a wrestle, or they might say one on top of the other, you've got to get the other person on top. So that'd be part of that warm-up I mentioned as well, stuff like that.
A lot of people drop out of that phase as well?
Not necessarily, no, that's fun. People, everyone enjoys rolling around wrestling, don't they? It's those bits were generally quite sort of fun bits. Sometimes you just do it if you were on exercise in the field. This is later on in training, or even when we were actually completed training. something you're bored, you got nothing to do, you're just like, right, come on,
I love that.
King of the Ring or something like
Yeah,
that. We mark out a little kind of thing and it'd be King of the Ring. A bit more relaxed once you've completed training.
Yeah, of course. That's quality.
But it was always good fun because you'll be like, oh, you hear someone, oh, get Max.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck off. And then everyone start jumping on top of you. Like,
Were you always like big? Were you always a big guy? So obviously back then you were younger, right?
I looked at photos of myself and I'm really skinny.
Yeah.
From when I was like 18, 19. So I kind of filled out a little bit after training.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot more cardio after training, but afterwards you've got good gym facilities. Like where I was based anyway, I had a pretty good gym.
Yeah.
One of my first roles was actually looking after the nuclear weapons.
Oh yeah.
So we were on, basically I sit in a bunker for 5 weeks. Couldn't leave the bunker, just on standby in case we got attacked.
That's mad.
So we had to be, there to protect the nuclear weapons. So we had a nice gym there, so it was just training twice a day.
That's class.
I came home and my mum was like, what the hell?
So thinking back to like that selection process, how did you feel when you got accepted? Like, did you remember that?
Yeah,
Like,
God,
how
yeah.
did they tell you? Was it like face to face, or was it like was there a bunch of you and they'd be like pass, or
The 3-day selection, one to be accepted into
Yeah.
training, was you get called in the room and they said basically, oh, I can't remember. I remember going to a room for an interview. They may have said in like a room full of people, but
Yeah.
you kind of get given a scorecard and tell you how well you did.
Oh, yeah.
And they give you a debrief. So the guys who'd failed, they say, if you failed on this reason, don't bother coming back because you're not the type of person.
Yeah.
People who failed, who maybe show potential, they'd say, right, go away, come back, work on your press-ups or work on your sprints or something like that, and then come back in 6 weeks' time. But with me, it was like, yeah, you pass these things, just go away, keep doing your training, and then just wait for a date and we'll give you one, yeah.
And what was the? I know you said press ups, pull ups. What was the standard for those?
It was, if I remember correctly, press-ups was around 45, pull-ups I think was...
Was that in a minute or?
So it was 2 minutes, 2 minute
Oh, 2
test.
minutes, yeah.
They've changed it now, they've got a bleep test now because they've got to be done in a very specific way. But like I just remember when I was doing it, because I went down there thinking, these are the scores, 45 I can do 45 press, 3 pull-ups, I can do 3 pull-ups
Yeah.
easy. But
3 pull ups.
yeah, but they're very specific. 3 pull-ups is the minimum. If you can't do 3, you're out. Just because you've done 3 doesn't actually mean you'll pass though.
Calvin pass easy then.
You probably would, yeah. You
can do
You're a
pull-ups
beast
and
on the pull-ups,
press-ups.
are you? Yeah. It's like they say these minimums,
Yeah.
but like 16 is what you want to get, but it's 16 to a beep. Well, back then it was called out, so you'd have to hang from a beam, which was sweaty.
Oh,
You've just
right,
done
yeah.
all your trainers, you're sweaty anyway, and there's a wooden beam, and there's 3 of you on a beam at the same time, and they'll call it out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, which is
Oh,
what I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was. I went down there and I was like, doing my press ups. The guy's there going, that doesn't count, that doesn't count, that doesn't count. He must have took about 20 reps off because I wasn't doing them to the standard.
Yeah.
And the same with the pull-ups as well. You're not allowed to swing. You've got to hang beforehand, and then you've got to hold yourself at the top for however long it is, and then you've got to drop when they tell you. If you miss that kind of tempo, then they drop you straight away. So you might do 3, and then like you hesitate at the bottom. You may say up, and you might go ooh, swing a little bit, but you're out. So you
Yeah.
score 3. So
Fucking hell.
you may have more in the tank, but it's you've got to do it within their strict kind of things. We've done it with bleep now, so it's down up, and it goes on for 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
but if you
yeah,
miss
yeah.
that beep, so you might miss the beep of 45, so you shake the arm out or something, you fail straight out. So, but back then it was just you want to bang them out.
Yeah.
But a guy would be honest, not looking at you counting, so you count how many times your chest touches his fist. That's how
cool.
you knew how much it was done. And the person next to you would be counting up to make sure your arms are straight.
Yeah. That's mad. So it's way more regimented than like what you see most people do in the gym then.
Oh yeah, it's very rare. When you get people, I did challenge a few people to do it once, and I said let's try it this way, and most people couldn't do like many. Like
That's mad.
See me in the gym next week, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
do it. You probably if you're fit and you'd be able to do it. Once you get once you learn how to do it, then you'll get it. Because it is confusing, particularly back then because we didn't know anything about it. Because they changed the bleep version when I was actually in training, and like we didn't know what we were doing. But now it's all online and people can just look at it and practice it and stuff like that. So it was kind of you kind of get your head around it because you're trying to do your press ups, you're trying to listen to the beep, you're trying to listen to the number, and you're making sure because it's got to be like that.
There's a lot to think about.
Like your fingers have got to be together like that. Like your thumb comes out like that, it's a fail.
Is
so
it?
yeah, it's just little things like that. You've got to be in this regimented, real kind of
Yeah.
rigid, difficult position.
That's good though. I like that. I like the
We go into clients now, no, don't count.
Yeah.
literally.
That's why I do that to my clients sometimes.
Don't count.
Sit under him with your fist like that.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know if they still do that, like, 'cause women, they're letting women in now.
Oh, of course,
Because they
yeah.
didn't back in those days, so they
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
maybe it's on the shoulder or something, I don't
Yeah.
know, it's the only thing I can think of.
So do you remember the tours you did? When obviously you do remember them. What can you talk about the tours that you did while you were in the Marines?
Yeah, we can talk about them, yeah.
So where did you go?
So, the notable ones were Iraq, we also did kind of smaller tours as well, like maritime interdiction operations.
Yeah.
You probably see a lot of that on the TV now, where you see the Navy are going out in,
Oh, yeah,
all this
yeah.
issue going out in the Middle East at the moment. Well, all that was still kind of happening back then as well. We just didn't really hear about it so much.
Do you remember what years these were now?
2000, so we did Iraq 2006. That was kind of one of my first deployments to Iraq. We did that for a few months. I was in Basra. That was when it was all kind of kicking off.
Because the
up
war
there.
was big back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the war had finished at that point. So I wasn't
right.
involved in the war. The war had finished, so it wasn't officially a war. The way that happened there, we had the big war, and then kind of a period afterwards where it was kind of a little bit stable, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you just had the insurgency came 2006-07 onwards. Everyone was just basically just coming along to fight the British and Americans, and it was just chaos. It was just literally chaos. Like, Bin Laden and all his guys were just calling jihad and all that.
Yeah.
And people were just going there just for a scrap, basically.
So you were there at first just to be like a presence more, and then it started gaining momentum.
That time we were there because they were starting to get hammered.
Yeah.
So we were there to, do covert kind of stuff to figure out what was going on and where the weapons were coming from. As it turns out, the weapons are coming from abroad, basically, and it was all being funded by another country. So we just went there to the border to just kind of do intelligence gathering, find out what was going on and paint a picture. So we weren't actually there kind of to directly engage them.
Yeah.
We were just there to monitor them because the bigger force was coming out after us. I think we were there for a few months. We
mad.
did do a bit of kind of QR, quick reaction forces stuff, so we moved to the palace then.
Yeah.
And we were getting smashed by mortars and snipers and things like that literally every single day. So we were kind of a QRF where we'd go out and we'd try and track them down from what, because they had technology to work out where the mortars were coming from.
Oh yeah.
So like our job, we'd try and go after them, but usually they'd be long gone by the time we got there because we got to go on a boat, and we had a couple of boat chases and things like that, which was quite fun.
Are there any like major memorable moments from when you were serving? Or like they could be good or bad. Like is there anything you can think of that was fucking cool? Or is there something you can think of that thought I never want to see that again or go back to that?
Yeah, I mean, bombing around the boats was always fun. Jumping out of helicopters, booting down doors, things like that. It's just, I've got good memories of that. You just kind of get into that zone where you're just hyper aggressive all the time. But it was even spilling into my time off. But you're just kicking down doors, jumping out of helicopters. It was just
Gets back to Cardiff like that.
it was kind of like that. It wasn't a good time for me, but yeah, it was like that. You were just constantly being primed to be aggressive, constantly because the type of jobs they're having us doing. But that was good. Good memories of training. Certain things I wouldn't want to do again. Well, back then I was like, never going to do it again. A Tarzan assault course, for example, was one of the tests. I never do that again by the time I finished it, but I'd love to have a go now and do it just to see how I'll get on now. But
did you ever find that you were like scared in terms of like, obviously a lot of soldiers and military people end up dying.
Yeah.
Were you ever scared of that happening, or when you're in that sort of that realm, should we say, is it literally just adrenaline all the time? You don't really think about it.
I was proper shitting myself before my first mission. Like we were flying out.
Does that get easier?
This one was different, I think, because this was kind of the first kind of proper kind of mission where we were going, staying out in the kind of, I'm trying to think how to phrase it. So we were going out into the field on operation, away from the base, rather than just doing like a patrol.
So you're on your own?
Yeah, we were going out on the own, on proper soldiering sort of stuff like. Whereas like usually you'd be going out on patrol, you wouldn't go too far from the base and you come back the same day.
Yeah.
But we were going out and to live there basically and do the reconnaissance and the intelligence gathering. So we were going out into the marshland basically in the middle of nowhere, and we just didn't know what to expect, like, because we were just flying out in pitch darkness on the helicopter, and we had to get dropped off in this specific area because there was like a lake there and a bog by there, and then we had this kind of area which is a track that we had to land the helicopter on, land all us on, and then we were going to pump our boats up basically and then go about our business. But they
actually in the dark?
In the dark, yeah. We trained for it.
Yeah.
We trained for it in the camp. We were just pumping our boats up in the daytime and jumping. And the army was stood there laughing. That's like, what are these idiots doing? We were just pumping the boats up, jumping out, and then jumping back in, then deflating the boats and just repeating it. And that's how you do everything in the military. It was just rehearsal. We did it all day, and so we could do it super quickly. But yeah, we were just in the darkness flying there. You don't know what to expect. Yeah. They said to you, look, you can land. You've got to get out of there because the insurgents can know where you are within 30 minutes. And you want to be out of there, like.
That's crazy. So
we got in the dark. We landed, and it just went deathly silent. And you couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. And then we just heard all these dogs howling because obviously we disturbed by the helicopters. Yeah. So that was kind of a bit kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? Like apprehensive. You're by yourself. You're very exposed.
In that sense, do you have to have like night vision then?
We had night vision between us, but we didn't have night vision each.
No.
You'd think we would have.
Yeah.
But back then we were so poor. I mean, my first patrol, I didn't know any ammo. But this is how...
Just had a gun for show.
I just had a gun, yeah. Yeah,
That's mad.
yeah, but I've got a massive issue with how the war and that was, well, how it was all kind of funded.
Yeah.
The government just didn't support us. It was so chaotic. Like to send you out without enough ammo, without enough armoured vehicles.
How are you meant to protect yourself?
Exactly. I mean, some of the guys had ammo, but like I said, I had a machine gun. I was a machine gun. I didn't have anything for it, so it's like I had to go somewhere to get. We got it eventually, but the first patrol didn't have any of that. So you're very exposed.
That's even scarier.
Not even in an armoured vehicle. For that mission, we were fully prepped. Like I was tooled up the fact.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I had so much ammo on me, I could barely walk. Like, but like we were tooled up then and prepared for it. But yeah, we didn't have as much kit as you'd like to think.
Yeah.
We would have had.
That's crazy.
Back in them days, I think they're a lot better now in terms of the kit they're getting in the military. But
So I know you said you had like the 30-minute window before the enemy basically knew you were there.
Yeah.
And they would engage. What were you doing in that 30 minutes? What did you have to do?
yeah, it's basically you just stay there for a little bit to kind of secure the area, just
Yeah.
to see if anything happens. Then we'd have to pump the boats up, but they dropped us off in the wrong place. So we had to,
Fucking hell.
we had to carry all the boats then to where we were supposed to go, which is a kilometre or so up the road.
Kilometre?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was hard work. That was actually I've written about that in my book actually, talking
yeah.
about that because we were just like we got all these boat engines and boats and equipment and water and fuel. We had to carry it all over to the waterway we were supposed to go
Yeah.
to, that we were supposed to go to. So
Then you had to get back on the helicopter.
no, they'd fucked off. They were
They just
gone.
left you.
Well, they were out. They was there to insert us. So
Oh,
our
yeah,
job then was basically insert and then just go into the water and just disappear and not be seen.
So where did you go from there? Sorry, I'm really interested.
Oh,
in
sorry.
the story. So, like, from the water then, like obviously did you set up your own base then, did you?
We would move around a little bit. We did a few patrols. We met up with the Iraqi Coast Guard as well. We were in the area.
Yeah.
We did we call it observation posts, where like we'd hide, we'd plant, we'd basically dig up all the reeds and then we'd replant them back in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd just hide in there. We'd just sit there and watch basically.
That's sick. That's so sick.
I was suspected kind of crossing point for where weapons were going across the border. So we just had to watch that basically. And the idea was we'd work out how many people were going through there. And there was also a team up the lake who might intercept them if we felt they needed to.
So was there you said they were funded by another country?
Yeah.
Did you know what country it was before you were watching that post?
Yeah, it was Iran basically. They were saying Iran was funding all the weapons that were coming into the city centre, and that's like we were getting smashed in the city centre. We couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
The army were there just getting hammered. It was stupid, really. Just in the city centre, just getting shot every single day. They were getting hammered so much they were barely leaving the camp. So that was the situation that was unfolding in 2006, 2007, when nothing was getting achieved really.
Yeah,
it was just pointless even being there.
And how long did it take for you guys to get sort of the upper hand?
We didn't.
Didn't ever?
They didn't know. I think we did have a little bit of a kind of. So when we went back to Basra Palace after that, there did seem a little bit of a lull in the sort of amount of attacks we were getting.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of days where we didn't get shot by mortars. So I don't know if there was a kind of knock-on effect from us just being there. But after that, then 2007, it just went even worse. Everyone was just going against the British, and also Afghanistan was kicking off royally at the same time. Public support back home was not good for the Iraq War, and in the end they pulled out. But I was at home by that point. It was on another deployment, I think. I wasn't there, but they pulled everyone out of Basra in the end and just.
Yeah, I find that really
left,
interesting.
yeah.
I find it proper interesting. So that leads me on to the books that you've written and published yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk to me a little bit more about each of these books that you've created for us to read?
Okay, yeah. So that's my first one there, Commando 90, and I had a lot of people kind of speaking to me a few years ago and just asking for tips and things like that on how to get fit for the military and things like that. And it got to the point where I thought, why don't I just do a program instead of keep telling people or give people ideas and things like that. I'm a qualified trainer. Why don't I just write a program and just people can buy it then and a generic kind of program how to get sort of fit. So I created that one. Initially, I kind of made it on my own website as a PDF, and then I thought, well, hang on, I can also make a physical copy of a book for people to use, and that's how that one is. These two are supposed to work like that. You're supposed to follow them. It is basically day one, do this; day two, do that; day three, do that. So that one I created is very raw, basic. There's no faff in there. It is just literally do this, do that, do that. So it's quite a small book. 90 days of what to do. You would be quite fit there. Some of the challenges towards the end are quite tough. So that's what that one is. And the idea is it's kind of a military fitness for that.
And then the runner is that the more...
Runner is more kind of, you've got more information in that. So it's
Okay,
information about, a bit more detail on nutrition, and I've also got the importance of having good quality sleep and rest and stuff like that into it. So this one has actually got like similar concepts. So you've got all your plan and stuff like that, all your exercises, but you've also got kind of what to do. So you've got your exercises, but then you've got notes, you've got your times, you can jot down what you're doing, and also what time you woke up, what time you sleep and stuff like that, because I think sleep's so important for recovery. So it's kind of a sleep diary as well, to make sure
so you can track your progress, and it's basically like your daily and weekly monitoring in there as well.
So it gives you accountability, so make sure you go and hang on a second, what have I done? You got your progressive overload, you're writing it down, you're monitoring it, rather than just going to the gym and going, oh, I'm going to work as hard as I can or whatever. So the whole point is to try and get structured, try and get you to improve and try and learn the value of things like sleep and progressive overload and rest and recovery and stuff like that.
Class.
So a lot more information in that than that one. So you want a bit of a read, a few stories and stuff like that in that one. Hercules Formula is just basically a bodybuilding program. I've used that a couple of times with quite good success. So I thought I was on a bit of a buzz really of making books, so I made that one. Again, that is quite basic, but it's got your exercises, it's got your nutrition, information on stuff like that as well.
The size of you on there.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I was using the program to do that. Yeah, 2016. That was. Yeah.
I'm gonna overlay these books on the video anyway, so they'll be able to see a big picture of it.
Oh, fantastic! Very good lighting there, mind you, in Cyprus. I will. I can't take full credit for that. Real good lighting. And then this one here is probably the one I spent the most amount of time on. It is kind of like an autobiography almost. It kind of is, but it's a series of short stories that just talk about various different times in my life when I've had to dig deep or whatever. Physical challenges, mental battles. Some stories about the Marines in there as well. Bit of fitness advice, very basic kind of fitness advice. A lot of it came from after lockdown, so stuff about how to work out without a gym. Because a lot of people were struggling with that. I was just trying to break it down and say, look, fitness isn't complicated. You don't need all these things to be fit.
Is that where the name comes from then? Challenge what you think, believe what is possible. So
that's just basically to say, you decide what is possible. It's, who determines what you can and can't do? You do.
Exactly.
Your mind is so powerful that you can turn around and say, like, I can't do these things. But then when you start thinking about it and doing it and taking steps towards that action, those tiny little steps they build up and they accumulate. And that's what the whole book's all about, is about taking an impossible or seemingly impossible task and then finding a way
making it possible
to make it happen. And it's just, that's what it's all about.
I love that, because it's like a mindset as well, isn't it?
Exactly. It is all about mindset, and it is just basically trying to say to you, look, I'm a normal person, I do a full-time job, I'm going off and doing these things around my full-time job and my family, and there's problems that happen along the way. I doubt myself and things like that. So it's not just, you might see on the social media or the photos, oh, the guy doing that, he's climbing a mountain, he's doing a marathon or whatever. You don't see the bits beforehand of how they came about.
Exactly.
And how challenging it was, but how possible it became just by taking action and doing it.
That's good. I'm going to link the links for you as well in the bio. So if you're interested in these books, I'm going to link them in the bio down there. So go and check them out. Are there any more in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm hoping to start work on another one tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So the Commando is a series, so they're all going to be linked. The plan is I'm going to do various different versions of it. So Commando's the first one. Commando Runner is about improving your running. What the Marines and the military do, and what's also become very popular with fitness enthusiasts, is rucking.
Oh yeah.
Just basically get a backpack on and just go walking.
Up a mountain or something.
Up a mountain, on the flat, whatever. So the one I want to work on is going to be called Commando Rucker.
Oh yeah.
Which might be, by the time this is uploaded, might actually be available. But I'm going to start working on it tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And the idea is it's going to be similar kind of concept to that, but just how to get fit by rucking, to use that for strength training, and how to improve your fitness, improve muscle building, or whatever it is you want to do. I'll put various different things in about what you want to do and how you can benefit from rucking.
That's
and how
really
to do
cool.
it safely as well.
Yeah, I like that.
And they'll all link then.
Because it's a Bergen, isn't it? You use
Bergen, yeah, that's the
on your
military.
back,
Yeah.
But you can use like.
Like not big enough, so you have to use a piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that now. Yeah. So with the Bergen, you can also use, like, if it's just like a day-to-day person, they might not have a Bergen, so they can just use a normal rucksack, right?
But yeah, exactly. They're going to be more comfortable. Like I always had a civilian rucksack for a while. Lots of good padding on them.
Civilian
yeah, it was like you got your military rucksack there. There's no padding at all, but it can tolerate a lot more weight.
Yeah.
So the weights I was using, that's a lot more suitable, whereas my civilian one was starting to fall apart.
Yeah,
and
I see.
So I would probably say that the civilian one's actually more comfortable for the day-to-day person who wants to ruck with a not a huge amount of weight. Well, I wouldn't recommend rucking with a huge amount of weight anyway. But yeah.
Strangely, in lockdown, right, in like when COVID was like a massive thing, I had like clients I was coaching online, and some of them are athletes because I do like strength and conditioning as well. And we had to get some like resisted sprints in.
Yeah.
And I actually used to program people to put a backpack on.
Nice.
And make the straps really tight so
Yeah.
it wasn't like swinging everywhere. Yeah. And fill it with like cans or books or if they had any small weights at home. And that would be the resistance for their sprints. Yeah. So yeah, that's something similar, I guess, that we've used in the fitness industry as well. Yeah. But obviously rucking is way harder because I've seen on your Instagram you put about 100 kilos on there, don't you? And you go up a fucking mountain or something.
That's like an extreme level. I wouldn't recommend anyone do that. the way you've mentioned it is a good way of programming it, and the way you said you've got to have it tight because it's not always the weight, but it's how the weight moves.
Exactly.
Can cause a lot of knock-on effect on the body later on down the line. So yeah, that's that I got that through lockdown to it was a new one I bought in lockdown to put my dumbbells in so that I can go and do my leg workout. By walking with the weight and like you said, running with the weight, doing press ups with the backpack on my back as well. I'll go find a field and I'll do my shoulder presses and my bent over rows and then I'll walk back. So it all came from that. So
innovative.
Yeah, that's it. But that's exactly what you're doing as well. I think it's fantastic how people were able. Yeah, people found a way.
100%. So can we talk about the fitness challenges now?
Sure.
So obviously Cal mentioned the massive piano. You had a full-size piano on your back.
Yeah.
And you went up a mountain.
Yeah.
So you do these extreme fitness challenges and they're all for charity, right?
Yeah.
Some of them you do just for the sake of it?
I do little challenges that I do just for the sake of it, and then I do big challenges which I care about a lot more, and those are the ones I do raise money. I train for those and try and put a big focus into them. So the little challenges, just things I might go, I might just do 1,000 burpees or something. Just, I'll film it or whatever.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. Let's see if I can do it. And then big challenges like the piano was years in the making.
So let's explain, like, how did that come about then?
So that
where did you get the idea for that?
Well, interestingly enough, I read an article just shortly after I joined the Marines, and it was basically they found a piano on Ben Nevis, like halfway at Ben Nevis or something, and they were like, "How the hell did they get here?"
Big flight tip.
This is it. Yeah. So it was a big kind of mystery at the time. Anyway, they cleared the Scottish Park Authority, a bit like the National Trust, cleared it all away. And they think they know who did it. It was a Scottish strongman up there who did that sort of thing. Like it was all church organ or something like that. Yeah. But a couple of people said, put their hands up and said we did it. So we're not quite sure who did it. But anyway, that was in my mind. I'd love to imagine how strong you'd have to be to do that. Imagine the strength and the endurance that you'd be able to carry that up something like that. So that was always in my mind to do that. And then I thought about it because I did the car marathon. Was kind of one of my first major kind of challenges. Then after that, I got a bit more of a buzz for it about what I wanted to do. So I thought, right, next thing I want to do, I'll revisit that old.
So you pulled a car at a marathon?
Yeah. 2019 did a marathon towing a car.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's
that,
madness.
That was one of the first kind of proper ones. I did more before that, but that was kind of when things started getting. I got a lot of attention for doing that as well. A lot of recognition for doing that.
That's
that was
crazy.
Quite a big one. That. And the thing with that one, I only trained for 13 days as well. Like I've had people contacting me since then saying, "Oh, how did you train?" I did 13 days because they want to do it as well.
You're already really fit though, aren't you?
I was quite fit, yeah. So I had that thing. But what I liked about that one in particular, the car marathon, was there's been a massive ripple effect from it. Like so many people have done it since.
Really?
I don't think I was the first one to do it. I think people have done it before. I know people have done it before, but there's been this kind of ripple effect where it's motivated people to go out and do something like that, to raise money for charity. And then I've seen them, I follow them on Instagram. They're doing a whole fitness program for it, and then they're raising the money, thousands of pounds of charity. So I just think that's all come from that little thing. I did that one day back in 2019, and other people are still, even years later now, people are still doing it.
That's class.
Or trying to better it, or doing more, which I think is fantastic. People want to go out the way now and they want to do 40 miles. They want to do 48 hours of doing it. So
can't believe it. Fair play to you. That's a massive achievement. So with the piano then, if you move on to the piano, how much did that weigh?
It was, I've never actually weighed it. It was because it's very difficult to weigh it.
Just a full-size piano.
It can be anywhere between 350 and 400 pounds from what I was told. I think it's probably more kind of in the 350 pound area,
Yeah.
but it's that sort of weight, and it's not so much the weight of it;
awkward.
it's the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
If you ever try moving a piano, like you can easily deadlift that.
I haven't, to be fair.
like trying to move it in and out of the
Yeah.
house or around corner, it's very difficult.
How did you strap it to you?
So I just basically got 2 cam straps, and this was kind of like what I was talking about, taking the steps to do it. Like the first kind of steps was actually just down the road by there, actually.
Oh yeah.
I was stored in the storage centre by there,
Oh, yeah.
and I used to walk around that area by there with it the first time. But it was straps, and the idea was it was so scary the first time I did it, because I thought, am I going to get squished? Am I going to be able to hold it? Yeah, so I just basically strapped it to my back and
Looks
just
like
kind
a
of
pancake.
yeah, and just kind of do like almost like a good morning type thing with it.
Yeah.
And then once I realised I could support it, I thought, okay, I can support it. Can I walk with it? And I walk with it. Okay, I can walk with it. Let's try and walk a little bit more of a distance with it. Okay, I can do that. And then can I walk up a hill with it? So that was how I phased that. And once I knew I could walk up a hill with it and get the feel of it, I didn't need to use the piano so much then. So I just made my weight out of the rucksack so I could train with the weight rather than just doing the piano every time. Because it's a big faff trying to get the piano
Every time.
every time.
That's crazy. So can we move on to the Arctic? Was it Arctic lorry?
It was
What lorry was
what type of truck was it? It was like a.
It was some
It was like a
massive truck,
tipper.
wasn't it?
It was like I've forgotten what it was now. They were using it to clear the runway.
Either way, it was a lorry.
Yeah, it was a
lorry.
yeah, it was a heavy vehicle.
Some sort of. So how?
heavy vehicle. That's
What
it
made you
was.
come up with that one?
I always wanted to try it.
Yeah.
And
You see stuff like that on Strongman, right?
Yeah. I think they generally tend to do a little bit heavier, mind you, on a strong man. But it's not so much about the weight, and this is what people throw the weights out there, but it's more about the resistance and the inertia and things like that. Like how many wheels there are, how many axles there are, make it more difficult because you've got to turn more, and the size of the wheels as well. You've got to turn more. Yeah. But that was just horrible. That was just.
How long did you have to pull it for?
So I did. It was I think it was about 2 kilometres. So I went to an airfield basically. That was just I've always wanted to go. I love airfield, like all abandoned airfields, things like that. I think it's a couple of my challenges have taken me to them.
Yeah.
But this one was just a long straight line, and it kind of goes up like that. And it does dip a little bit, but it's pretty much flat because they use it for Guinness World Records. Top Gear and all that use it.
Yeah.
But they use it for Guinness World Records for like flat speed tests and stuff like that. So it is considered flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, just basically get one end of that to the other.
That's mad.
And yeah.
Did you have to train for that?
I did train. I didn't train as well as I wanted to. I found training for that difficult, and I wasn't as prepared for that one as I wanted to be. So I went in there.
Mate, can I lend your lorry?
Yeah, that was so difficult because we had the HGV shortage. Remember that a few years ago?
Oh yeah.
It was then.
Oh yeah.
So it was only like literally the day before I managed to get that vehicle. Like I was like, I'm doing this lorry, but I haven't got anything. Like,
that's mad.
I was contacting companies, I was phoning companies up. No, I'm going to drive it. I was like, I'll pay you, or whatever. I've said I'm going to do this, but I can't. I've got this thing hired for this date. I've got no vehicle. I've got no one who can drive the vehicle because I thought if I can drive the vehicle, I can hire one or whatever. But I'm not qualified to drive it because I haven't got the license, so I can't do that. So I was like, what if I find a driver? And nobody was able to do it. Like HGV driver crisis at the time. So it was just that was just stressful. I was trying to sort that one out.
And how much have you raised, do you reckon, over the years for charities?
That's a good question. A lot of them they raise like sort of two grand each sort of thing. Some of them a little bit more, some of them a little bit less. We'll say on average about $2 grand per challenge.
Are these charities close to you, or are they something that someone recommends to you, sort of thing?
So the challenge I raised money for recently was the Royal Brompton Harefield Hospital charity, and the reason why was because one of my friends was treated there. She had lung disease that was just making life unbearable for her. Like, I used to work with her. Used to train her in the gym as well, actually. So she's a very good friend of mine. But it was making her life unbearable. She was walking around with an oxygen tank on her back. She couldn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? She just couldn't walk up the stairs because her lungs were just not getting in the oxygen. You need oxygen. It's like the most basic thing you need, isn't it?
100%.
So she just wasn't getting the oxygen she needed. So she was struggling and she was tired all the time. She went for this operation to have a lung transplant. She had a double lung transplant. And they basically just took her lungs out, put 2 new lungs in.
Wow.
And sorted her out. And she just, obviously she had a massive program of recovery and she's on loads of medication and stuff like that for the rest of her life. So she's in and out of hospital all the time. But she, she was just so strong to go through that and seeing her, because I got so used to seeing her in such a bad way because for years and years and years she gradually got worse, and I just don't think I noticed it because I was seeing her every day.
Yeah.
Then when I saw her after her operation, she was a completely different person. She looked so healthy. And I just thought, you know what, actually, that's inspired me. I want to do these challenges. So I was with the Carpole Marathon, went about because I had that in my mind, I wanted to do it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that to raise money for this charity because they don't get funding. I didn't even realise they don't get full funding off the NHS. So like the labs and how they can store the organs just was outdated, and they needed new money, more money, so they could get new equipment and stuff like that. So they continue doing it.
That's really good. That's nice of you, and it's good that you can look at a situation like that, and even though it's kind of like a negative, but you can take that and make it into a positive and feel inspired by it, and then you're giving back then, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, well, you still see something in the news, one of the articles pop up where like something's a child's had a transplant or whatever, and they're the premier place in the UK for getting heart transplants, lung transplants. You're going to be going there basically, regardless of where you're from. They're in London, but even if you're in Wales, you'll be in a hospital going straight there. And that's what happened to her. She was literally like, you got a set of lungs available. Ambulance picked her up, took her straight to London, and she was on the operating table then by 9 o'clock the next morning. So it's
life changing.
Yeah. So I see them helping people sometimes, and I think, oh, it's fantastic. The money we raised, went towards that, because it's big money they need, but it went towards that.
No, it's amazing. Honestly, well done. When you mentioned the articles, so I saw that you were featured in Men's Health.
That's why that was a surprise. That was. I just popped up one day. I was like, when you look at your phone on Google and the things suggested articles pop up, I just saw me on there. I was like, that's me.
What?
Oh, fantastic.
They didn't contact you at all?
They didn't contact me, no. They're all linked. So I did an interview for Runners World USA.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're owned by the same company or they write for this or whatever. But the article I'd written there, they basically piggybacked off that.
Yeah.
So that's what I found was happening. A lot of these articles were just stealing it off other people. But I think it was the same author wrote for both magazines.
That's amazing, though.
So, so she put it in that magazine as well.
So you didn't know that was coming out whatsoever?
No, I knew the Runners World one was. I didn't know the Men's Health was. Well, I think they had a few different photos and stuff like that. They got,
did you get people sending it to you and stuff, being like, is that you?
No, not so much that one. I think I found that one before anyone else did, because it just popped up. It found me that one. Google just went, you want to see this?
It pushes it to you.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but like a few of them, like Fox News were done an article as well. People were tagging me in that and things like that.
That's class.
It's quite. It blew up. My phone blew up basically after doing that.
And that's from the recognition from these challenges you do.
Yeah. Mainly the piano one. It just. I had Amanda Holden on the phone. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Interviewing me about that one. It's just people love that.
I've never heard of anyone do it, see. I know you said a few people do some of the same challenges you do, but I've never heard of anyone carry a piano up the mountain. I
think I was the only person who's done it sort of recently, and I think I did it in the middle of lockdown. Because that was the thing with that one, is it didn't go according to plan. It was not how I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a different mountain, I wanted to do a proper training program for it, but COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I kind of did it in the middle where we come out of lockdown and just before we went back into that other one. So I kind of had to do it in a specific way. And I think it was so much bad news and bad press, and everyone was fed up and everyone was just complaining about everything, and it was just bad news everywhere. People were just fed up of it, I think. And I think when that came out, people were like, what the fuck's this guy doing? Why is he doing it? Oh, he's doing it for charity. Oh, amazing. His charity's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I did it in a way that I didn't want the environment to get hurt as well. So like I made sure the piano came down with me.
Yeah.
Whereas like you've had other challenges where people have left equipment up there or whatever, they've done it for the sake of doing it, but like I made sure it was within my plan, no matter what happened, that piano was going to go back down, the environment wasn't going to get damaged, because I respect the mountain so much.
Of course.
It was all coming back down with me. I had everything sort of planned to make sure that nothing stayed up there, and it was all safe and looked after. So I think people kind of realised that and recognised that. I was very cautious about it all.
That's amazing. I think it's, like I say, it's commendable what you did,
thank you.
Especially for charity anyway. So when I look at your social media, I can always see that you're having like fun and you're having a laugh. It's not so. I know you do all these challenges which are really serious, because you could get hurt and whatever else. But on your Instagram, you're always having fun, and you're doing these fitness challenges where you might crack an egg in your hand, or you'll fold up a massive metal pole and like make it into like a curly whirly almost. But there are still aspects on your Instagram where it seems like you're still living the sort of marine lifestyle, where you're trekking through a mountain, like you said earlier, you're rucking, you're in pitch black conditions, you're going through water, you're going up mountains. Do you think do you still miss that sort of life?
Yeah, yes and no. I miss certain aspects of it, but the difference is that it's all on my own terms.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Marines, it's like you're doing what you're told to do.
Yeah.
You're not happy half the time because you don't want to be doing. You're cold, you're wet. You're getting paid to be cold or wet. That was a joke. Was you're paid to be wet and cold. And that was a joke in the Marines. But I think yes, I've recognised after leaving that things were missing from my life that made me happy, and finding those challenges and going off and sort of pushing myself to the edge or pushing myself to or beyond my limits in extreme environments, I enjoy it, and you feel good afterwards, especially when you can kind of come back and you rest and recover, you rewarm and stuff like that. You do feel good that you've achieved something. So I think I just recognised after a massive struggle after leaving, like I haven't always had fun. It hasn't always been fun. There's been times when I've been had my hands down in the dumps, feeling real shit about myself. But finding those challenges, not just those ones, but other things I've done as well, like the smaller challenge I mentioned before, just kind of brings you back and keeps you happy, keeps you smiling, and brings that kind of what's the word? Your mental health and things like that. Helps with all that. I think
it's good that you it's good that you incorporate everything you've learned while you were in the military, and you still do those sort of challenges, and you incorporate a lot of what you learned within those challenges.
Oh yeah.
Because they are like it's a skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like to be a Marine, it is a skill. You need to be skilled in that area. You need to be skilled in that area, and then you've taken it after the military, and you still apply those similar principles with your own fitness challenges.
You're absolutely right. Like everything from like my nutrition while I was doing to my survival equipment up in a mountain, because I knew it was going to get cold and things like that, is all what I've learned in the military.
Do you reckon you could live off grid?
I could. I wouldn't want to, but I could. I'd lose a lot of weight, and that's the thing. I'd lose a lot of weight, and I'd probably enjoy it for a little bit, but it is definitely possible. Like
you could survive off the grid.
Humans can. We used to do it beforehand. We're able to do it, but we're so used to having all this comfortable environment with us. But with the right kind of ideas, know-how, you'd be able to, and skills, you'd be able to do it.
And how important would you say it is to have that sort of mental edge, mental durability when obviously military into these crazy fitness challenges that you do? How important is it for humans to have like real mental strength?
I think it's very important to have that durability, like you said, because things can turn like that, and it can be, it's good now, things are good, but things, you don't know what's around the corner, anything, life's a roller coaster, do you know what I mean? Life is a roller coaster. So things can be good now, next week you never know what's going to happen. I've written that in my book as well. I've had periods where that has happened, that things have gone wrong, and I've nosedived completely. So having that durability does help. And
how do you pull yourself out of that?
You just got to crack on. I think it's just got to crack on and just try and figure a way out of it. And I think the more you do that, the better you get at it. Yeah. I mean, I'm still learning. I think you're still pushing. We're also kind of working our way through life, aren't we?
And your support network, would you say?
Having people does help.
Because when you're serving, right, you have the camaraderie of your like brothers around you,
Yeah, having that. When you leave, though, you haven't got that. You don't got anything really. Yeah. Like, and that's what I struggled with leaving was they put you so much into joining, and there's so much kind of testing you to join and make sure you're right to join. But then when you leave, they just kind of go, right, on you go. Thanks for your service. Sort of shake your hand. Thank you very much. And then you're kind of cast out, and you're not prepared at all for you've been in this institution. You've been institutionalized for so long, and then suddenly you're like, oh, hang on a second, I've got to do everything myself now. I've got to cook myself. I've got to flip in, which you're not used to doing. I've got to drive to work. I'm not used to doing. I normally I just get up in the morning, go down to the base. So it's hard physically in the military, but then you're not prepared for doing stuff like just operating as a normal person. It becomes difficult because it's so alien to what you're used to. So you just got to really kind of just get on with things really and just crack on.
100%. And it's good. Like I think everyone should apply that to themselves because, like you say, life always it can always take a turn at any given moment, and you never know. So just having that sort of mental strength and durability can help you whenever anything goes wrong, and that's like work, family, everything you do, fitness challenges. Obviously, when you're in the depths of a mountain with a piano on your back and you really want to give up, like you need that mental strength to carry on. And then when you get over that sort of challenge, then when something goes wrong day to day, it's like nothing really, isn't it?
Well, hopefully, that's the plan. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Because you've gotten over such big challenges before. When something goes wrong day to day, you're like, it's nothing really compared to that. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So with the challenges, is there anything in the pipeline that you've got coming up? I know on your socials you've got mostly throwbacks on there, as you say, but I think it would be good to see you doing another crazy fitness challenge.
It will happen again.
Is there anything you're thinking of?
I've got some things in mind. Like
Yeah.
I always have ideas. Like I said, that piano one was in my head for like 15 years before I even started taking steps to doing it.
Yeah.
So I do have ideas. I wouldn't mind doing like 3 peaks, but with like an enormous amount of weight or something like that. That's what I'm thinking of at the moment. A lot of
kilos.
Something like that, yeah. we'll see.
That.
Everything's kind of a test at the moment.
Yeah.
Been a bit of a gap because I had a baby and I wanted to focus on family for a little bit and
100%.
kind of come back away from doing all that and be there.
Yeah.
Plus I had a couple of little injuries as well over the last sort of year, which unrelated to doing anything like that. Like I've done all that and I slipped on a wet floor and did all the ligaments in my ankle. So like that's how I got my injury.
Typical.
Yeah. So like that's kind of put me back, but I'm not stressing out about it at all. I'm very much I've got loads of time to plan it, and I don't want to rush into anything. So I've got an idea. I will try it at some point. I think that'll be quite a cheeky one to do and quite a fun one to do as well.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to think of logistics as well when you're doing them. It's just like doing stuff like pianos that you need a support team and stuff like that. And I want to think of what can I do by myself, just in case I can't get anyone to come and help me, because it might be a big ask to get somebody to travel around the whole country with me to help me. Like,
Speaking about whole country, have you seen that Russell Cook? What he's doing?
I haven't seen
the
that.
entire length of Africa.
Oh wow, bloody hell, that's
So he
a
started
fair
right
track,
down the bottom, in like South Africa, and he's not even going straight up.
Yeah.
He's going around the edge of the whole of Africa.
That's quite a distance.
So he's literally running a continent.
Fair do so. How long is he expecting that to take him?
Well, he's been doing it for about, I want to say, 300 days nearly so far, every day. And there's only been a couple of days I've noticed, because I've been following his journey.
Yeah.
There's only been a couple of days where he hasn't run due to like, he's been pissing blood, or he's had, he's been robbed, like their bus sort of thing, because their equipment gets taken with them, sort of thing, on a bus. And that's been robbed and held at gunpoint.
That happens in Africa all the time.
Yeah,
certain parts of Africa, anyway, not all parts, but that can happen so easily over there.
I think he was saying, I can't remember what country it was, but it was really, really dangerous for like muggings and kidnaps.
Nigeria or something like that, was it?
I can't remember where it was, but it was going from north to the west side. I can't remember where exactly, but if you have a look at the Instagram, it's literally crazy. Just the fact that he's running a whole continent, like that's amazing. That is crazy, and he's covering like 50 to 60 kilometers a day.
Every day, then, pretty much, isn't he?
Mental, and because he's like pale ginger kid as well. He always says on his Instagram posts, he's like, the sun is literally killing me.
Yeah.
So his skin isn't, it's not equipped for that sort of weather.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, fair do so. But I think it's all that's incredible.
Have a little look at him when you finish here. It's actually crazy what he's doing, and he's getting money for charity as well. Like, people are all piling in with donations, which is good. All right, so shall we move on to the defining moments segment of the podcast? So as I briefed you before, every guest brings in 3 pictures that define their journey and where you are today. So can we start with the first picture, and why is it defining?
Okay, well, that was a challenge in itself. You said find these 3 images. Like, right, okay, let's try and find some images. Really kind of trying to think what would be good, what would be good to talk about, and what would actually be defining. So I think there's so many like different moments within our lives. Like I always think life is just like, you've got these little crossroads and things like that, and you go left, you go right, and then how your life can change at that moment. Like I can actually look back and reflect on moments where I think, well, if I'd done that, things would be completely different. So I went back. The first one is going to be me in the Marines. So the photo we're going to show, that I've shown you, was 2008. We were on operations out in the Persian Gulf at the time, and I just think that was my last deployment with the military. But it kind of summed up everything, because I was just due to leave, but it was kind of summed up everything, and how the Marines was such a.
You look like a beast in that picture, by the way.
Oh, we were just training every day.
You're literally like that, with a gun.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, we were up there, and it was just.
I see you tensing your bicep in the picture.
You got to hold. Yeah, you got to roll. It was a team photo, so you get to roll it, sleeves up. Then we just come off with a boarding operation, but it was awesome for fitness, because we were on the ship basically, and we just pull-ups. We got a beam welded in between the decks, so we just do pull-ups every day. The workouts were insane we were doing then. You'd be like 30 to 1 pull-ups, you do 30 pull-ups, and then 29 pull-ups, and 28 pull-ups, all the way down to 1. That's the type of training we were doing then. Really good tan as well. That photo was on there. Permanent suntan. But no, that just kind of summed up everything, my whole kind of career in the military, and how that was then, I'm trying to think the word now. How my life kind of changed afterwards, and how
it's like pivotal.
And how like that was everything. If I hadn't been in the military, I don't think any of my life my life would be completely different.
Yeah.
Like, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
I would have gone off and done something else, and I just think that is such a pivotal moment there, and it had such a lasting effect that even now, 15 years, well, 20 years later from when I joined,
Yeah.
I'm still talking about it now. People
Yeah.
still ask me about it now, and it still almost kind of identifies me as that. Oh, he's an ex-Marine. It's still something I'm proud of doing,
100%.
even to this day.
Massive part of your life.
Yeah, huge part. And it had an effect on everything. It had an effect on all the work I did after that. So I went off and did security after that, and that kind of comes on to my next picture there.
Yeah.
Which was the photo of a beach in Mauritius.
Yeah.
And what happened there was I left the military and I just went downhill. I was doing really well for myself, like in that photo there. I was really happy. Life was good. But like we talked about earlier, things can change in an instant. You don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
I left the military completely unprepared for civilian life, in a shitload of debt, and just not really mentally ready to be a civilian or go into looking for my own jobs and going to work and trying to find work and things like that. Because they tell you basically, oh, it's fine, you walk into a job, no problem. But we left in the middle of a recession, and I could walk into a job, but they weren't well paid jobs, they were shit jobs. And I was working so many hours, I was working 3 flipping jobs to try and keep on top of my debts that I'd accumulated from being in the Marines.
How was that, by the way? Because what I always have an idea of is when you're in any form of military, obviously you get paid a salary or whatever it is, and then because you're stuck there, you can't really spend it. Is that a true reflection, or
yes and no?
Is that
you can. It depends on the individual. Like I've never had much money growing up, but I think what happened when I did join the military and I had all this money, it's not mega money, but it's still your accommodation's paid for.
Of course.
Back then, as a 19-year-old kid, it was a fairly decent wage, but I got into the kind of partying lifestyle quite a lot. So we were super fit, but we also partied stupidly hard, and I very much got down that road where I was drinking every night till 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and then going back to work the next. As long as you could do your job the next day, nobody really cared about it back in those days. It was kind of like, it's fine. You run at the top of the hill, you might be sick at the top, but you just you get a pat on the back sort of thing. Like it was, it was that's the kind of attitude it was back in those days. I think it's a little bit different now. I don't think they're very much into all the drinking and smoking and partying like we used to do. Yeah. So I kind of kept that lifestyle up. But even when I left, I kind of kept that up a little bit.
So you blew
it all, yeah. Like oil and alcohol mainly, really, that sort of stuff. So, and also we were getting a lot of trips to Dubai, places like that. So like, we were spending a lot of money in them sort of places. So yeah, I wasn't very good with managing my finances. And I think that was down to me, not down to anything else, because a lot of people left not in that situation. So I think I was in not very good managing my finances. So it all went downhill there. I was trying to build things up and trying to keep paying for everything. So I got 3 jobs. I had a full-time day job, full-time night job, and a part-time weekend job. So I was only getting like 2 nights sleep a week. The rest of the time I was just going from day job to night job to day job to night job, and I was just fucked. It lasted about 3 months, and I was like, I need to fucking sort this shit out.
Up you.
It does catch up with you, and I was starting to get like angry and stuff like that, and people were pissing me off in work, and I was I'm gonna fucking knock this guy out, like if he speaks to me like this again. Like I was getting that sort of mindset where I just wasn't letting things go. And I realised how shit some people could be. I was used to having a team work, and I was working with people who just weren't being part of the team and just being dickheads, basically. I was just like, I'm going to fucking knock this guy out. I can't work with these people. So anyway, I managed things a lot better. I managed to figure out my finances. And I got into fitness then as well. And I thought, right, I'm going to stop drinking, stop smoking. I'm going to run a half marathon and run men's health survival of the fittest obstacle course race. So I thought, join those 2 things, just stop drinking, stop smoking, just like that. And then just went on and focused on that, got on a debt management program, managed my debt, started paying that off, and things just got a lot better then. But anyway, built everything up, worked really hard, got into security, got promoted to a manager, and then I was managing quite a large company. I wasn't managing the company, I was managing an area of a large company. And then just like that, I lost my car, lost my flat, lost my job in the same week. I was like, what the fuck has happened? Like 1 week, it was just like, I was in a car crash. Because I needed the car for work, so I couldn't do that because it was a very mobile job. I didn't have the adequate insurance. I'd only had third party because I was still struggling with my finances. So I just went, I'll go third party with the car. So we ended up out of pocket with the car. And then my landlord was like, you've got to move out your flat in a month's time. And I was like, oh, fucking great. Like, it was all in the same week. And I was like, what else could go wrong? And then I got a speeding ticket and a flipping parking ticket then as well. I was just like, oh, great. So anyway,
a good week.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week for me that week. So anyway, everything just kind of crashing down, and I was struggling, and I had to move out my flat. And eventually, then I ended up just getting a job. My mate sort of helped me out with the job. It wasn't a job I wanted to do. I'm mopping the floors at a hotel and night, like, do you mean, I was just like, I was like, I've worked so fucking hard, like, do you mean, and I've built myself up, and I've done so many, like, I was working so many hours doing that security to get myself where I was and get myself promoted and get myself recognised within the industry. And I'm there on the flipping floor, like, and I was working with people who treating me like shit, and pissheads coming in, and I was just dealing with them, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? How have I ended up here? So what happened then was I ended up going down the maritime security route. I just bumped into a guy in the gym who I used to serve with in the Marines, and he said, oh, Max, just by chance, this company's recruiting. I've got a job with them. Might be worth Googling them and finding out. So I looked at it, Googled them, and sent an email with my CV, and they said, right, okay, we're interested, but you need these qualifications. And I was like, fuck, I've got no money. So these qualifications came through, I Googled them, and I had literally just the amount of money in my bank account for these qualifications. Like, I think it's about £300 or whatever to do this course. And
That's
I was
lucky.
And I was like, fuck, if I put all my money in this, I've got no money for anything else. So if I put my money in this course, and then I don't get employed, I am fucked. So I was like, fuck it, just do it. So I paid for this course, and my mate helped me out. He gave me a lift up to this pool it was in England to do the training course, and he helped me out with, you know, a bit of expenses and stuff like that. He was a really good friend of mine. Did this training course, got an interview, invited to an interview. He even lent me his car and his suit then as well to go and flip in.
What a guy.
What
a guy.
He was like, I'm actually in a nice suit. I got a really nice suit. He said, you go wear this. He really wanted me to get this job, and like I was going to take any help I could get. And he lent me his car to drive this interview. So I'd finished the night shift at this hotel I was working at, drove to this interview in the day, did my interview, come back to the night shift, went home the next day, instead of sleeping, then they phoned me up and they said, we got the job, we need you to deploy for training program or whatever tomorrow. And I was like, oh fuck, I was going to go on night shift. So I went and cancelled that job. Well, I went into work and explained to the manager, look, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't want to leave him in the lurch or anything.
Of course.
Really, really sorry. I've been offered this job. It's going to really help me out. Like, it's what I want to do. They weren't happy with me at all. Like, but like,
you had to do what you
I do it, like, you know, when I was earning a lot more money then.
Yeah.
So I went off and like my life just changed like that. And our photo of Mauritius, as we flew to Mauritius then, I think so that was probably within 48 hours of all this happening. I'm on the beach in Mauritius getting paid a hell of a lot more money than what I was getting paid, doing the job I've always wanted to do. And I'm like, whoa, so I took that photo as a kind of memory of like, things are shit, but then they get better.
That's amazing.
And that's what that photo is there.
And it's really good that you were able to pull yourself out of that sort of rut that you were in.
With a gamble,
yeah.
And that's the thing, is not only that, is I had my tax bill I had to do as well, because I'd previously been self-employed, and then because I lost a lot of stuff, I didn't have any money to pay my tax.
Yeah.
Because you pay your tax a year later, don't you, self-employed?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, what am I going to do with that? So that was looming over my head, but then luckily this job just came in and just saved everything, and I took a massive gamble and had a good.
You literally risked everything you had left for that job, and it worked.
And it worked, yeah. It played out really well.
It's good. It's obviously that. It probably stems from being in the Marines. You're brave, you know.
Well,
you've got that bravery.
I think it was survival more than anything. I didn't have any hard. Well, this cannot fail. I've got to do this, and it was just a case of I've got to do this, and it did work. Luckily, I don't know what I'd have done if it didn't happen, but I'm sure I'd have found something. But
lucky it worked.
Yeah.
And here you are today. So let's move on to the third picture. Why is it a defining moment, and what is it?
So third picture, so that's me carrying the piano up the mountain, Garth Mountain. And I just think that kind of symbolises everything. So we've had my kind of transition, the military, to the beach in Mauritius. Things did go down again after that. Like, I wasn't always going up. So that Mauritius picture 2011. So I actually after that I had a couple of shit years as well, where I was depressed, suicidal, and everything like that. So I went and had some real dark moments in the middle there. But then the piano one is it going up now. It's kind of like the pinnacle of everything before that. It was just a good year for me. I was doing my challenges, I was raising money for charity, I was healthy, I was happy, things were just moving along nicely. And I just look back on that year, 2019, 2020, that sort of era where I was doing a lot of those things, and with a lot of pride and a lot of good memories.
It seems like you, just from speaking to you, that when you hit these lows, it's always after you've come away from sort of like a challenge. So it seems like you pick yourself back up when you have a fresh challenge. So you come out of the Marines and you dipped a bit, and then you got that job going over to Mauritius, and you were okay again. And then when that all ended, you come back, you dipped again. And then when you've done these crazy, amazing fitness challenges, you put all your time and effort into, that made you go on. It's literally like an analogy for your life going up again. You're going up with the piano and the mountain, and that's what made you almost enjoy life again. So I feel like you thrive off these huge challenges, and unless you're doing these like really big challenges and pushing your body and your mind to the limit, I think that's when you're the happiest.
Yeah, no, you got hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. But I think that's the same with a lot of people as well. It's having that, because it's not just a challenge, but it's having something to work towards,
Yeah.
having something to focus on, having a kind of a purpose,
Yeah.
something
That's
you're
it,
doing, and
purpose,
it gives you that purpose.
Exactly.
And then you do often hear people talk about it when they run a race or whatever. They have the blues afterwards. Like, I don't think I get that, but I definitely get the kind of the buzz when I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
you know, once you finish them, like when I finished the Cardiff Marathon, like I was so like, whoa, oh my god,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I nearly cried. Like, do you mean, like, I don't normally
Yeah.
cry. Like, a tear actually came in my eyes wearing glasses. You can't see it, but I nearly cried. Like, I gave my mates a hug who'd been there with me. With the piano, I was so happy to have done it and got to the top, and it just felt great. And it was
Yeah.
just kind of surreal moments. And some little girl came up there, and she had a little play on the piano as well.
Yeah.
And just little moments of that. I just think that never would have happened if I hadn't have done that. And yeah, so like you said, it does give me a lot to kind of make me happier.
And the only difference is now is the purpose is changed to your kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the purpose now.
So you've got to focus
So-
in now. Yes, you were saying to my missus the other day, I was like, you know, he's the priority now for
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
I will find time to go and do things as
Yeah.
time goes, but I needed to change my life a little bit to get the stability for the pregnancy and making sure he's happy and secure.
But it's amazing that now you've got a constant purpose.
Yeah.
That you can. It's almost like you're not gonna sort of go to that depth again because you've got that constant purpose and constant need to be sort of strong.
Oh yeah, I need to be. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got to
exactly.
be. Like, if I can't, that's my job now is to keep him safe, and I
amazing.
can't like.
It's
deviate
crazy how
from that.
life, like you said earlier, life can literally just change like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So is there a bit of advice that for the watchers or listeners at home, is there a bit of advice that you would like to give them as a sort of like a take home?
Yeah, I think it would just be that there's something you want to do, you just got to do it, and
Yeah.
it might seem difficult, it might seem impossible at the time, but once you start doing it and you start taking the steps, little small steps, they'll just start to snowball and build up
Yeah.
until what you've imagined, what you've envisioned, and what you want to happen will just become a reality.
Yeah.
I just think that's it, really.
Literally just do, if you're thinking about something that you're on the fence of, on the fence with, sorry, you think just jump over and do it.
If that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do, whether it's fitness, whether it's you want to lose some weight or whatever, just go and do it. Start it.
Yeah.
Buy some gym kit or whatever. Take out your gym membership. Go for a run. Go for a walk. Whatever. Just start it, and
Yeah.
once you start it, then it'll become possible.
Figure it out later.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll
Exactly.
happen.
And that's challenge what you think. Believe what is possible. There's the plug there. Okay, so what can we expect from you and like Muscle World Fitness as your like fitness brand? What can we expect from that in the near future?
Well, I've created a new YouTube channel now.
Oh yeah?
It's called Max 3.0.
Is it?
So yeah, it's very only this the other day I've done it, and
So
that's kind
Muscle
of.
World is no more?
No, it's not no more. It's still going,
okay.
but I'm just. It's very much like I've been doing that for a few years now. So
Yeah.
I've changed as a person.
Yeah.
Stuff I'm doing is different. So it's kind of just like a refresh of what I'm doing now. And it's going to be a bit more like I'm going to have with my GoPro out and about. So it's going to be more of that, more raw kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than me trying to do those strength challenges and things like that. I'm not going to do so much of that.
Yeah.
I'll still do them every now and then. I'll go on a Muscle World one, but I'm going to try and start this new one as a bit more kind of up to date with what I'm as a person like now, because I'm a lot older than I was when I first started making content. And I do this every now and then, have a refresh, like I did with Instagram.
Yeah.
I just deleted my Instagram and started a new one. So it's kind of like a rebranding of myself, hence the 3.0.
Amazing.
Pictures, my
So-
third time.
If people want to find you then, where can they find you on socials?
So
if they want to keep up to date.
if they want to, Instagram, it's mostly throwbacks at the moment, like you said, but
Yeah.
there will be more coming on. So Instagram, Muscle World Fitness, or just Max Glover, and then I'm on YouTube with Muscle World and Max 3.0.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on and giving us your story. It's amazing, honestly. I was so interested in everything that you've done. It's amazing, and seeing your journey and like the highs and lows of your life, I think is really inspirational. So I hope the audience felt exactly the same as I did, because I loved this today. Thank you all for watching. As always, I'm going to link Max's socials and all the books in the bio. So if you want to go and check them out, head down to the bio. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Capable Minds Podcast.